Alright, this video is going over coding bat number 4 for conditionals, which is about dates and fashion. Two topics I know tons about, dating and fashion. Make sure you're logged in, right, so you get credit for this. Make sure you've logged in up there. Alright, and hopefully you've had a chance to try this first. So hopefully, I'm not going to read it because hopefully you've read it and tried it before watching this video. Alright, so this is really confusing the way it's read. So basically, the result of getting a table is either going to be no, 0, maybe 1, and 2 yes. And then it says if either of you is very stylish, 8 or more, then the result is yes, 2. So at first when I thought this, basically if you are greater than or equal to 8, or your date is greater than or equal to 8, then we want to return true. All right, but then they threw a monkey wrench in here that said, with the exception that if either of you has a style of 2 or less, then the result is no, right? So basically I said, okay, maybe I should do inside here that if you have 2 or less, so if you are less than or equal to 2 or your date is less than or equal to 2, right, then we want to return no, so that would be a 0. Else, so we are still inside of this stylish case, so where either one of us is an 8 or above, right? And now we've got to the point where this isn't true, so neither of us are below 2. So now we're going to return true. Yes, we're going to get a table there because either one of us is above 8 and neither one of us is really bad, right? And then it says every other case should be maybe. Okay, so I think what'll work here is then if we do return, if we do an else, then we want to return maybe. Okay, so I think this will handle, because if either one of us is super fashionable, right, then we should check if either one of us is super unfashionable and return 0. Otherwise, return a true because one of us is fashionable, and then all other cases are handled by this else right here. Right, so if neither one of us are super fancy, then we're just going to return maybe. All right, except, oh, so I'm going to hit go on. I don't think this is going to work actually. So yeah, it doesn't work. So the problem with this is I think we're going to need another if down here because we can't return maybe if either one of us is really unfashionable. Okay, so I think I'm going to need this if clause down here in the else to say basically if either of us are really unfashionable, right? Because in here only gets caught if one of us is above an 8 or equal to an 8. Okay, so this else will cover the case where neither one of us is above an 8. But it's still true in this case that if one of us is unfashionable, we want to return 0. Otherwise, we want to return maybe. So I think that should handle. So I missed a couple cases there. If you look, the ones I missed would be the ones where, yeah, neither one of us were above 8. And then that should have been, with this 2, should have been a false. Right? So I just have to have this catch here to say, hey, if either one of us is not fashionable, then return a 0. So let's hit go now and see. All right, so that one's definitely a little bit tricky. And there might be a better way to set this if up. Like we could have just started with this maybe. Just started with, hey, if either one of us are unfashionable, return 0. Then we could check if either one of us is above an 8, then we're going to return true. Otherwise, return false. That might have been actually a better way to do this. So yeah, I'll pause it here and I'll show you what that code would look like. This actually looks a lot cleaner because we don't have nested ifs, if inside of an if. And basically, yeah, if either one of us is unfashionable, we return 0. And then when we hit here, we already know that neither one of us is below 2 or equal to 2. So since we know that, then we can just say, hey, if either one is stylishly dressed, then we return yes. And then all other cases are just return maybe. So that's just an alternate way to do it, and you see I still passed the test. So there's probably even more ways than that, but this one to me actually looks like the cleanest or easiest one. So that's it. Sometimes I bumble my way through like that, where I just try one way and it didn't really work the best. I mean, it worked, but it was a little bit goofy, and then I thought, hey, maybe there's a cleaner way to do it. So that's the tricky part, is turning this into if-else statements. All right, thanks for watching.